What a beautiful day it is today, isn't it?
Yes.
The drive here was glorious. I drove here from Renton, where I live, so it was a lovely drive. So the scriptures for today, Psalm 30, and then several verses from John, the 21st chapter. First, Psalm 30. I will extol you, O Lord, for you have drawn me up and did not let my foes rejoice over me. O Lord my God, I cried to you for help, and you have healed me. O Lord, you brought up my soul from Sheol, restored me to life from among those gone down to the pit. Sing praises to the Lord, O you, his faithful ones, and give thanks to his holy name. For his anger is but for a moment, his favor is for a lifetime. Weeping may linger for the night, but joy comes with the morning. As for me, I said in my prosperity, I shall never be moved. By your favor, O Lord, you had established me as a strong mountain. You hid your face. I was dismayed. To you, O Lord, I cried, and to the Lord I made supplication. What profit is there in my death if I go down to the pit? Will the dust praise you? Will it tell of your faithfulness? Hear, O Lord, and be gracious to me. O Lord, be my helper. You have turned my mourning into dancing. You have taken off my sackcloth and clothed me with joy, so that my soul may praise you and not be silent. O Lord my God, I will give thanks to you forever. And now for a gospel reading, the Gospel of John, the 21st chapter. After these things, Jesus showed himself again to the disciples by the Sea of Tiberias. And he showed himself in this way. Gathered there together were Simon Peter, Thomas called the twin, Nathanael of Cana in Galilee, the sons of Zebedee, and two others of his disciples. And Simon Peter said to them, I'm going fishing. And they said to him, we'll go with you. So they went out, got into the boat, but that night they caught nothing. Just after daybreak, Jesus stood on the beach, but the disciples didn't know it was Jesus. Jesus said to them, children, you have no fish, do you? And they answered him, no. And he said to them, cast the net to the right side of the boat and you'll find some. So they cast it, and now they were not able to haul it in because there were so many fish. The disciple whom Jesus loved said to Peter, it is the Lord. And when Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his outer garment, for he'd taken it off, and jumped into the sea. You can always trust Simon Peter to do the extravagant thing, can't you? Jump into the sea. Again, thank you so much for the invitation to speak to you today. You have a lovely meeting place, a lovely choir, and I can't wait to hear the anthem. It's going to be beautiful. Many decades ago, when I was in 6th grade, our teacher asked me if my father would come to talk to the class about the vocation of farming. Now, this was in rural Tennessee in about 1969 or 70, right? Before some of you guys were born, no doubt. And this was an area of Tennessee that was in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. It's in the Highland Rim area. Now, I saw my daddy every day milking our dairy cows, and then cutting hay, sowing corn, feeding pigs, fixing fence, repairing tractors. You know, farm work is endless for those of you who don't know anything about it. You don't sit down unless you're eating, and then you lie down to sleep. And then everything else that's going on, you're running around working. And you know, I didn't even mention the work my mama did. Keeping the books, tending the chickens, canning vegetables, keeping everybody fed, which was a job all in itself. And you know, this was definitely more than 8 hours a day of work. There's no vacations in farming, but you are outside all the time. And you see the seeds that you planted sprout and grow. You see calves being born. You gather the corn. The smell of it still, I can smell it. And I saw all these things every day, day in, day out, as we followed the seasons' cycles. But you know, in that classroom that day at school, hearing my daddy talk about farming, this was really the first time I recognized him as a person with a dream. And not just his dream alone, but how his dream connected with a bigger one, which was the conception of a whole community that we were part of, and that he valued, and he thought other people ought to value it too. He explained how he was able to farm because the town mechanic helped him fix things he couldn't. Because the town's farmer's bank gave him a loan to improve the dairy barn to meet the milk inspector's new regulations. Because the feed mill sold him oats to supplement the cow's diet. Because the neighbors helped him put out the grass fire that had started on the road. And he spoke of his hopes for the town to grow, to maybe attract a doctor, a grocery store, more things for the kids to do, more teachers, better education. He gave the life of a farmer meaning and value, which before this I'd never thought of. I mean, you don't really think about meaning and value when you're shoveling manure. But he did explain how one farm was embedded in the web of the life of the whole community. And so for the first time, I recognized not only my father as an important person, but I recognized myself as an important contributor too, because they had me out working too, feeding calves and shoveling. I knew who I was. I knew my importance in the community, and that I was connected to other people and their successes in ways I'd never considered before. I was part of a collective, a life, much bigger than my own. I felt seen and included in the story of my community. And you know, recognition is pretty important for humans. Even in our mother's wombs, we can respond to music around 18 weeks. At week 24, we can recognize our mother's voice. There's a West Indian therapist and philosopher. His name is Franz Fanon. And he observed that man is human only to the extent to which he is recognized by the other. Acknowledgement, respect, care, and the capacity to notice another person, this feeling seen and recognized, help us belong. Now, when we catch up with Jesus in the gospel today, the disciples had already seen the resurrected Jesus multiple times, and yet, nothing much had changed for them. They still had to eat, pay taxes and debts, work, struggle. Fishing was what they knew how to do. And believe me, this was for survival. This is not sport fishing here. You spend all night out on a boat. Who does that for fun? But the disappointment of empty nets went on all night long. And so, dejected, they bring in their nets and head for the dock. But then there's some guy hanging around the shore, and he says, well, why don't you go out there one more time? Try the other side of the boat. Which I bet that was really enticing. Here, go do some more work. But yet, they had success in abundance. And that was when the disciple that Jesus loved recognized the guy on the shore. That's Jesus. You see, only after these guys had worked together collectively to net the fish did they actually see Jesus. I wonder sometimes if it's when we give up depending on ourselves for everything that we finally recognize it's our community that gives us hope and meaning. That the Holy Spirit can work through the community to rescue us from that despair mentioned in Psalm 30 earlier. And Jesus showed up and reminded them how powerful they were together. Jesus saw them struggling and reached out to them, and they in turn saw Jesus. And they didn't give up. And it's hard for us to trust, isn't it? As Americans, especially folks who have grown up in the working or middle class, we're taught that we've got to be self-sufficient. You got to work hard, supply your own needs, that being dependent on others is a big negative. You've got to be a winner, because the only other choice is being a loser. So we grow up in this super competitive, zero-sum, dog-eat-dog culture. And if you've spent any time in the corporate world, you're always looking over your shoulder, wondering, when will I be replaced? When will they hire somebody younger and cheaper? Or maybe they'll just replace my whole job with artificial intelligence, which they're talking about every day that they want to do. Is it any wonder we struggle to maintain our sanity, let alone our hope, while navigating a world like this? It's kind of like that old Bruce Springsteen song, Born in the USA. Remember that one? When he sings, you end up like a dog that's been beat too much till you spend half your life just covering up. Nobody sees you in a culture like this. And even the idea of community itself has been changed in America. Community is now described as an online community, all made up of people you never physically see or touch. And the isolating experience of COVID has just accelerated this idea, isn't it, of online community? Think of how we struggle to worship together online or on Zoom. And now when we have church council meetings or study groups, a lot of us continue to do this online, don't we? It's more convenient, it's cheaper, yes. I don't have to dress up or wear makeup or worry that if my deodorant is working or not. You know, if I don't want to be seen at all, I can just click off video and all you see on Zoom is my name. I can just lurk in the background of the meeting and not interact unless somebody asks me something directly. I can sort of ghost you, but still claim I was at the meeting, right? If you were working during COVID, or if you were an employee or a manager, you know how this game is played, right? I certainly played it. And you know, I can ghost my church in person and yet still watch the service online on Facebook or on YouTube. And you know what? I can church shop online now. I can watch all kinds of worship services from all over the world. I watched the Russian Orthodox Christmas Eve service in Moscow this past year. I watched part of it, right? Because that thing went on for hours and hours. I watched the High Holy Days, Rosh Hashanah service in a Los Angeles synagogue last year. I checked out what Reverend Otis Moss III preached at Trinity United Church of Christ in Chicago. Because that man can preach. I can get all kinds of inspiration from that. But I can't get the feeling of community from it, of belonging, of being seen. They don't see me. And over time, we can be forgotten. We're no longer seen. We're dropped from view. And then we don't belong anymore. Online Facebook communities can be helpful, but they can also be kind of toxic, even dangerous sometimes. Group administrators wear out pretty quick trying to monitor people who don't observe the rules or the boundaries of civil conversation. People write things online they'd never say to each other's faces. Is anyone ever seen for who they are on social media? Just look at LinkedIn, for example. I mean, we can curate what others see about us on that site. I let you see me when I'm dressed up or happy or achieving something. I don't post photos about being sick or being fired. What I say is, I'm looking for new opportunities. Yeah, I'm looking. Oh, that one. Oh, she got fired. We know what happened. I don't post photos about being sick unless it's this funny green emoji. I don't post about my heartbreak or depression. That would get me some negative algorithms. I don't post about the real me. Online, it's hard to tell what's real, isn't it? I used to be a chaplain. Most of my career was in chaplaincy, healthcare chaplaincy. And it was interesting when I visited patients who were church members. Some would ask me not to tell their churches they were sick. I don't want anybody to see me like this. The house is a mess, I'm a mess, and my family is certainly a dysfunctional mess. So, what, you gotta be perfect for folks in your church to love and care for you? Man, there's no hope for me then. Recognition that I'm not and can't ever be perfect and I'm broken beyond repair? Who's going to accept me like that? And yet, that's the real person Jesus sees. It's hard to let others see us, isn't it? To be that vulnerable, like Deneen said earlier. To acknowledge our mess, both inner and outer. To be unashamed to be seen. Consumer culture tempts us to lie about ourselves every day. But Jesus sees past all the lies and the covering up. Jesus sees the real us. And especially when we've caught no fish. When I don't know what to do or even feel, which is pretty often, I pray for discernment. Please, God, help me see the way forward. I'm right here with every piece of my life broken. How do I put them together? How am I going to recognize Jesus in this mess? Do I have to come up with my own solution myself? Do I have to keep doing things the way I've always done them because I don't really know any other way? I mean, I only know how to throw the net on one side of the ship. And yes, I know I get the same 0 results over and over again, but I don't know what else to do. But what do we have to lose if we throw our nets on the other side? Well, what if that fails too? I'm still at step 1. I'm no worse off. Failure. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist and survivor of 4 Nazi concentration camps, wrote this: don't aim at success. The more you aim at it and make it a target, the more you're going to miss it. For success, like happiness, cannot be pursued, it must ensue. And it only does so as the unintended side effect of one's personal dedication to a cause greater than oneself, or as the byproduct of one's surrender to a person other than oneself. I was at a church conference meeting a few weeks ago. This was the Church Development Council. And our conversation got stuck on how we lacked people and resources to get stuff done. We didn't even have volunteers lined up at that time to help with the annual meeting. And we looked at each other online, because we were Zooming, right? Small churches, we were all from these small churches, unable to hire or pay for a full-time pastor, some not even half-time, right? People worried about what the U.S. current leadership was doing and how that would affect our people. So we got on a worry track, right? We didn't have very much in the way of solutions. But then one of our Samoan committee members interrupted and said, "We have the power of the Holy Spirit. If we step out in faith, Our God will deliver. We need to have faith. You know, our Samoan churches are poor. I mean, they don't even pay their pastors, I don't think. Maybe a little bit when they take up a collection. But they are our least resourced churches as far as money is concerned. But they have the power of the Holy Spirit. God sees us. Indeed, God does. Sometimes I wonder if some of us have lost sight of this transcendence, this great other, holy, powerful Spirit. How do we call her to come to us? Both as individuals and as part of God's beloved community. And again, Viktor Frankl shares his wisdom. He says, love is the only way to grasp another human being in the innermost core of his personality. Can we allow ourselves to be loved and to love others, to see and be seen as we are, to love God's creation in all its variety? All of that. You know, you look outside here, you just can't miss it, can you? The sound, the sky, the trees, it's all there. Sometimes I can see Mount Rainier from the manufactured home park where I live. There's a certain spot, and if it's a clear day, I can see it. Most of the time not, but every day I go on a walk with my dog, and every few days a beautiful crow will see me, recognize me, and swoop across my path. She wants me to see her. So I reach in my pocket and I place a small treat on the street and then walk away. She waits for me to get 10 feet away, and then she swoops down to get it. And we do this several times, recognizing each other, sharing communion. She is beautiful, and she regards me with those beautiful black eyes of hers and turns her head like this to see me. So it's not just the mountaintop experience that feeds our souls. It's the daily intimacy of feeling seen that keeps us alive and connected to all around us. If we allow ourselves to be seen by Jesus and each other, it opens a door for us to see Jesus. We start to see the holy in others. We can feel the compassion. We feel the holy love, and we can dare to trust. And isn't it lovely that this gospel highlights the experience of feeling seen with the sharing of a meal? Jesus prepares these guys a shore lunch. Anybody here had one of those? Yeah? That was a big thing in Minnesota. You go fishing on the lake, catch some walleye, get up on the shore, make a fire, fry it up. Jesus feeds them and shows them what their mission is. Feed my sheep, he says. Share our love and compassion with others. Address your neighbor's hunger and need for food. Is it any wonder that a sacred meal is one of our central sacraments? Nourishment, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Inclusive and welcoming. God's table is always set. We join Jesus in a supper that includes the living and the dead. The kingdom on earth, past, present, and future. in this time out of time. And so we pause on the shore to share the bread and the wine. As we prepare for the Lord's Supper, the sacred feast, let's remember we are walking the path of many, many generations, many souls, serving each other and seeing each other as we have for thousands of years. And after us, others will eat and see and remember. And so, let us taste and see.